Oh, minus Fox. So name it Fox. Also, before I start with this, Owl Wolf Town. I made a Twitter page. Twitter account. I don't know for it. The link should probably be down below. I'm gonna start posting some art from this stuff like character stuff like that, and then there's little tidbits on there. And as I upload more episodes, I'll add more stuff. The Handsome's smelling the camera right now, but yeah, that. But anyways, Spider-Man films. I wanted to figure out what do I want my first video. Technically, first video is me saying Happy New Year's, but what my first video should be on for this year. Then I couldn't figure something out. Then eventually I found out I had all the films of the Spider-Man ones I could watch. I'm like, I want to rewatch them because here's the thing. Here's my history with Spider-Man. I was introduced to Spider-Man not through the comics, not through the comics, not through the old show. I was introduced through Spider-Man the animated series when it appeared on Fox Kids. Funny enough, that came out the same year that I was born, 1994. How do you know? So I watched all those stuff, and I grew up watching the Raimi films as they came out in theaters. So I've literally watched since Tobey Maguire has become Spider-Man. Since Tobey Maguire was Spider-Man, all the way to Tom Holland, No Way Home. I have seen all those Spider-Man movies, and I haven't rewatched a lot of them more recently. Like I remember when the Tobey Maguire movies came out, I have a collector's set for it that even has a film, it has a piece of reel from the movie. So I love Spider-Man. Spider-Man is one of my favorite superheroes, if not my favorite superhero. And I like those movies fine. I watched them. When the Andrew Garfield movies came out, and also when Andrew Garfield movies came out, or at least the trailer for it, because one thing that I remember even back then that I kind of didn't like was, why does Peter have webbing coming out of him instead of the web shooters? And mind you, when these movies came out, when the first Spider-Man movie came out, I was in the second grade. You could put anything in front of me, and I usually watch it and like it. I watched the Raimi, and honestly, I didn't like the Raimi films. I'm not saying that, but I am thinking there were some things I'm like, why are his webs come out of his skin? So when the Andrew Garfield teaser trailer came out, and you showed him with the web shooters, I was so excited, having he's got the web shooters. I was so I cannot overestimate how much I loved seeing that trailer. But anyways, it's been years since I've seen the Raimi films. The last time I saw The Amazing Spider-Man 2, I want to say was probably in theaters. So, but that's going to be another video when I do that. But so the Raimi films I have not seen in a while. I saw them a lot when I was 2002, 2003, those years and everything before after that. I liked them. Those are movies I watched a lot. It was Spider-Man. But there were still some issues that I had in there, and what I remember most was I did not like Spider-Man 2. I did not like Spider-Man 2, and I think that was probably my least favorite movie then. Especially of the Raimi film, the Spider-Man movie and the Raimi films, not least movie in general. My least favorite movie of the Raimi films. Only till way later, I think till 2007, 2008, somewhere. I think it was after the Garfield films came out. It was after the second Garfield movie came out. The Amazing Spider-Man movie came out. After that one, I think I saw the nostalgia credit kind of compare the two, old versus new. It's at least from what I remember, that was a good episode. Maybe we need to go watch that. But it was a while. It was a while, and it's been a while since. I have not seen the Raimi film since. So after No Way Home, I originally wanted to see the movies before I went to go see No Way Home again, because I knew they would be bleed over. Spoilers. But, Handsome, you want to say hi to the camera? But yeah, so I was like, all right, whatever. Sorry, I'm rambling. I wasn't able to do that, so I just went in watching it. I liked it, and if you want my thoughts on No Way Home, I'll probably talk about it in another episode later. Right now, I just want to stick to the Raimi films. But again, like, I wanted to kind of give my thoughts on the movies now for the new year and like for these Spider-Man films. First off, one, these movies aren't bad. First off, one, these movies aren't bad. Two, Spider-Man 2 is still my least favorite. Which is really funny. That's the reason why I brought up the nostalgic one. Because only till way later did I find out a lot of people really liked the Spider-Man 2 movie. And I kind of wondered why. And at least on my thought. Like, let me first go in order. One, the first Spider-Man movie. It's okay. It's okay. The casting is weird. And I don't mean of Tobey Maguire. I mean in the sense of... I mean in the sense that there's a point where they go to the lab, which, you know, instead of radioactive spider, it's a genetically enhanced spider that bites Peter, which is also really funny because they also, like, I know Miles was never a thought in their mind, but they unintentionally set up Miles Morales in this movie a bit. Unintentionally, because at one point Peter, like, it's Peter, Harry, and like the thing or whatever, and basically Peter tells Harry, did you know some spiders can blend in with their surroundings to hide from predators? And all I'm thinking is, by God, is this why Miles has the ability to turn invisible? I'm like, is this why Miles can turn invisible? Is this the actual reason why? Did a Spider-Man fan of the Raimi films come watch the movie and like, I want Spider-Man to have the ability to turn invisible? I don't know if that's the case, but it's kind of funny. And I'm like, you unintentionally set that up, and if Miles Morales appears not in the MCU but in the Tobey Maguire sequel of Spider-Man 4, that'd be kind of cool. Anyways, beside the point. But the casting is a little weird because when they go to that place where there's a spider's land where, you know, Peter gets bit. Which also I'm like, oh, okay, he gets his colors from that spider because the spider's red and blue on him. Like, the teacher there looks younger than the students. And I was looking at it, I'm like, okay, whatever, early 2000s, fine. There's going to be weird casting with age of characters, and there's going to be weird, obviously, like, not highly rendered CGI and stuff. Handsome, I'm trying to make a video here. Yeah, so that was kind of funny. The movie is good. Like, although it is weird that, like, Peter, like, takes all this time, like, I'm gonna make an old cool spider suit. He draws it up in, it's like the Spider-Man suit, the Raimi Spider-Man suit. He's like, oh, okay. And then he wears that homemade one. It's like, why did you go through all of that? And then you make, I'm like, sorry, back, but, like, yeah, like, why did you go through all the drawings of that to then not actually make that suit? But whatever. But yeah, and then I'm like, all right, whatever. I like the kind of duality, and then Oscorp, the whole everything with Norman Osborn, Oscorp. I'm like, I'm kind of on Norman's side. Like, it's really funny because watching the thing back then, it's like, oh no, he's the bad guy, and I'm like, no. I'm like, he's not real. Like, yeah, he puts people in danger, but really, it's like, okay, these asshole, like, this dude pretty much said, oh, we need to bring this formula back to formula or whatever, like the Goblin serum. And Norman's like, dude, you're gonna mess up the entire company. And then the one general already hates Norman for whatever random reason. I don't know entirely why. And then his board of directors that he kills also literally undermine him completely. And I'm just like, what the hell? I'm like, yeah, I'm on the Goblin side. Go for it. I'm not saying I condone murder, but I am saying those guys are assholes. Don't kill. That's what I'm saying first off. Don't kill. But also, those guys are assholes, and I'm just like, I'm on the Goblin side. At least for that bit. Not so much putting all the other people in danger and shit. I've also seen clips before, like I've seen clips before, and I'm like, it looks kind of like a Power Ranger thing. Watching the movie, I'm just like, it really doesn't. Like, yeah, they're more practical effects, and like it's not really any big move, but it's still pretty good, honestly. The Goblin mask, I will say, like, even though I'd say it probably looked cooler in No Way Home, which is funny because then it gets destroyed. But it was cool. Like, it was awesome watching it. I will say though, like, this movie and the second movie, Peter has such nice guy syndrome that it hurts. Like, it's like, oh, I can't talk to you, but I'm in love with you, but I don't say anything, and I'm just being nice, but I also get really jealous when you talk to other guy and stuff like that. And I'm looking at that, and I'm like, this is really bad. This is really bad. This is really, really bad. You shouldn't know. No. Stop it. I'm like, ugh. That I was just like, I hate this. I hate how this Peter has nice guy syndrome. And then he gets rewarded for it. I'm like, no. Uncle Ben's scene was good. Even though, like, guy walks up with a gun and he says, give me your car. And I get it. In Spider-Man 3, he says, like, oh, he was trying to help me. Uncle Ben, just let him have the car, dude. Like, I get it. You want to help this guy. But also, at this same point, there's a gun in his hand. Maybe just go, you know what? Here's your car. Here's my car. Take it. You know what? If you can, bud, don't crash it so that way I can get it back later. All right. Have a nice day. Toodles. Problem solved. But whatever. But yeah, that was okay. But yeah, Norman goes, and also here's the thing, like I there's some interviews going around, and like I don't know if Kevin Feige, I don't know who said it, but they said the reason why we didn't try to make our own Green Goblin and Doc Ock is because we couldn't top the originals. And one, yes you can, yes you can, and mind you, I love. If anything, I say No Way Home made the villains way better because Green Goblin is a badass in No Way Home, and I felt every scene that he was in was epic and beautiful. This one, not so much. I'm just like, nah. Not saying, Willem Dafoe's not good. He is. Also, I never picked this up as a kid, but I love this. J. Jonah Jameson is a badass. One, J.K. Simmons steals the show whenever he's on screen. But two, the point where the Green Goblin busts into his office, grabs him, picks him up, and goes, who sends the... Like, I think he was just talking to Peter, and he goes, who takes pictures of Spider-Man? And Jonah says, I don't know. He sends them in the mail. And he goes, you're lying. He's like, nope, sends them in the mail.
Who's the photographer who takes the pictures of Spider-Man?
I don't know who he is. His stuff comes in the mail.
You're lying!
I swear.
And I'm like, holy shit, he's awesome. I'm like, J. Jonah Jameson is a badass, and I love him. I love him a lot. I want more versions of J. Jonah like this. Hell, I just found out, like in the comics, I guess, apparently JJ knows that Peter is Spider-Man and kind of backs him up. And I like that. Like, there's a point where, like, they're at a graveyard. I'm not sure the entire scene, but there's some sirens going off, and Peter kind of looks at it and looks at Jonah, and Jonah just looks at him and goes, well, go on! Get on it! And Peter just smiles, like, takes off his clothes as he runs through the graveyard before he then whips off. And then Jonah just looks at the clothes, just, oh, what is he going to do without me? And he just kind of picks up, and I'm like, if there was ever a relationship I want to see, especially in the MCU now, after the ending of No Way Home, it's J. Jonah Jameson being a father figure to Peter Parker. I want that. I want that a lot. I love that. And I want it. Because, especially if it's this J. Jonah Jameson, at least kind of like this J. Jonah Jameson, because he's a badass. Even when he's staring death in the face, he's protecting Peter. And I'm like, hell yeah. I'm like, And like even just the fast talking movement stuff, like, it's freaking great. Oh god, he was so damn good. And then like other things like like he kind of shoos Peter off like these are crap. Peter leaves and then Jonah goes, come here. Like he's like he expected like it's like he expected Peter to fight back, but he found like, oh, you're green, like you're new to all this, and he's like, all right, come on. Like I like that he was taking care of Peter. I'm like, hell yeah, I love JJ. Hell yeah, I love that man. Yeah, he spits slander out Spidey, but he protects it. He protects Peter. He protects him. Hell yeah, I love it so much. But yeah, oh god, hell yeah, I loved that so much, and it's throughout the entire movies. I really enjoy that. Let's see, what else is there? Yeah, the Goblin Suits. The Goblin Suit's cool. The Goblin Suit's badass. So again, if most of my issues are, if anything, it's like even like actually, I'll say even the spider suit. I was like kind of wincing at the idea of what coming back to these movies. So I'm like, the eyes are gonna be fixed. And at least for me, one thing I love about Spider-Man, which also, if you haven't seen these heroes, first off, give this man another comic book. Sideways, a superhero that is basically inspired by Spider-Man in many ways. Hey, Tom. We even like you could tell that's what is it? There's a scene in here. Is this book? Oh, it's in book 1. Shit, I don't know where book 1 is. They basically do there's some good scenes in there, but especially, and then Radiant Black is another character who's kind of like that, who kind of has the Spider-Man eyes. This one, it's still good, but his eyes are fixed a lot like the Raimi films. And when he's in costume, Radiant Black, however, has the Spider-Man like eyes opening and close, which I love. I love that. I love that a lot. Like that is one of the best things, and that's why I like the MCU one. I love that suit. That suit's freaking badass. And I love the eyes opening and closing and all that stuff because it works so well. And yeah, it's another reason why I love the Venom series too, because of the eyes. Handsome. But yeah, like that. So, but watching this one, I didn't actually have a problem with it. Like even if the eyes were always angry looking kind of thing, I'm like, it's fine. I will say, the Raimi suit looks cool for its thing. It wouldn't be the suit I would pick, but it is a cool looking suit. Even though it's through all of them except for the last one where you have the black suit at one point, which the black suit again looks cool. Not my. If I had to be like, oh, you could get one of these Spider-Man suits, like one of the black Spider-Man suits. Which one do you want? It's not gonna be the Raimi one. I'm sorry, it's not. That suit is like, oh, it's the same one but black. Okay, like it looks cool, it looks cool. Not the coolest. Like I'd rather have hopefully I put up the image here. So like the guy who did concept art for No Way Home did concept art for like What If, and well not the show What If, but like what could be the next Spider-Man MCU movie, and they show the blacks. He makes a black suit. And I'm looking like, that looks kind of cool. He makes it kind of look like the Venom suit, which also, if the image is up, understand that this is a suit that's like that's how it looks in the. That's how it looks in a solid picture, where in the actual movie, I'd assume it was moving constantly, kind of like Venom does. But like that the Raimi's Venom suit, when he becomes Venom, it kind of looks cool with the big spider on it, but it is still like not the great. It's still not the greatest. It's not the greatest thing. So the suit's okay. It's not a suit that I ever chose to pick or even really wanted in the Insomniac games, but it's okay. Like, it's good for the movie. Awesome. It's awesome for the movie. Not a suit I would pick if they said like, you get one Spider-Man suit from one of the movies. is not going to be the Raimi suit. It is an okay one, but it's not my favorite. And also, God, this is going way too long. Sorry, but and even the and here's the thing I love about the MCU compared to and mind you, this is like, oh, you're an MCU fan. Yes, but also I like suits that are functional. Like the Raimi suit, it is purely for looks, and that is it. It is purely for looks, and that is it. Where the Garfield suit, it looks, at least the first one, it is a suit made from, you know, other materials that he found, or, you know, to look realistic. It is something that looks like he actually made by himself. He could have made by himself. The Maguire's, the Tom Holland suit, the MCU suit, is a suit that looks practical. That is the most practical out of all the suits. Not only from having a basically utility belt. Handsome! Not only having a utility belt to protect, handsome, to hold different web cartridges, to the web shooters being on his wrist, you see it like that. The black bands being where he kind of stores some tech. Obviously, the eyes. It looks like it could probably be way more durable than just regular spandex that the Raimi suit does. That's my issue. Again, my issue with the Raimi suit is that it looks like standard leotards, and like that's it. There's no thought behind it to help Spider-Man in any way other than to look cool, and that's it. Like, that's my issue with that. Like, honestly. Okay, let me just rapid fire this. Spider-Man 2. The movie is fine. It is fun. Like, you know, there's some cool things. A lot of people like to bring up, and it's like now almost the iconic thing of like Spider-Man holding the train and, you know, holding the thing. And I'm like, that's cool. And then it's like, and I'll say this even as a kid, I thought about this when they bring Spider-Man in and he lays him on the ground and people are like, he's just a kid. I'm like, that is a grown-ass man. Shut the hell up. He's just a kid. Bullshit. That man looks like he's 30. And then not only that, the part where like, you know, we'll keep your secret, Spidey. I'm like, you're a bunch of random ass people in New York City in 2000 and what? 3? 4? The hell? Like, I'm like, oh yeah, I know what Spider-Man looks like. What's his name? I don't know. What's he look like? Light skin, brown hair to the side, eyes. I'm just like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, I don't think it really matters if you see his face. You're a random ass person. It's not like you have a video camera to take a picture of him. Like, that's why it's like, oh, you know, New York's behind him, keeping his secret safe. And I'm like, even if they want it, first off, one, highly doubt 100% of those people would be on his side. But two, like, does it matter? Like, oh yeah, I saw his face. He looks like this guy. Whatever. I guess maybe they find out who Peter Parker is. Like, oh, that's him. Maybe? I don't know. But yeah, that was the thing. Also, another big thing. Doc Ock is a human. A regular-ass human with, you know, these mechanical arms attached to his back and everything. Why isn't this movie over in 5 minutes? And I mean this in a sense of, and because there is a giant, massive plot hole in this movie. And mind you, I watch these movies and I'm like, okay, you know, I like these movies, all that. But there is one ginormous, massive plot hole in this movie. And that is, Doc Ock is human. And you wonder, like, why is that a plot hole? Well, you see, the Green Goblin is a super enhanced being. The new Goblin is a super enhanced being. Sandman is a sand-created creature. Venom is, you know, Venom. Doc Ock is a human being, which means that first punch, that the very first punch that that Spider-Man punches into Doc Ock should have knocked him out. Like, that, and then go, well, here you go, officers. Like, there's, like, did I miss something? Did I miss something? Because at least when I'm looking like, why isn't it, like, he gets punched, not once, but like 4 or 5 times, if not more, throughout this movie. Why, in all that is holy, is it taking Spider-Man, a dude who could hold a train doing all this shit, more than one punch to just knock him out? I'm not even saying kill. I'm not saying that. Just done. And then, again, the motivation is, oh, he's crazy. That's it, really. He's crazy and the AI is controlling his thoughts. I think. I don't know why these things have AI, but they do. And yeah. And I'll say this right now. Out of all of these movies, I honestly think the best one is the one everyone says is the not the greatest, Spider-Man 3. Like, I honestly think that is the best one. One, the villains make sense, because, you know, Harry is also, God, I watched the 2017 Spider-Man animated show, and I'm like, God, just tell Harry you're Spider-Man. Or like, God, why does Harry get so much shit thrown on him? Maybe that's actually accurate to the comics. All I know is watching this movie, I'm like, God, why the hell does Harry get so much shit thrown on him? But, yeah, Harry, like, I'm just looking at him like, damn it, Harry. Damn, I'm like, but like, the new Goblin, makes sense why he can't easily be taken down. He heals quickly and stuff like that because of, you know, his healing thing. Spider-Man starts off happy. That's a good one. Oh, also, wait, hold on. Before I go to that, Spider-Man 2. Another thing that I hated about that movie, when I was a kid and now, is how long it took Peter to be a hero again. At least for me, because again, I grew up with the animated Spider-Man show, and I love that show, but also on that same point, I hate the storyline of, I hate being a superhero that saved lives. If I didn't save lives, more people would be alive. You're a dumbass, Peter. And every other hero who's ever had that same damn plot line, I hope it burns and I hope that plot line dies. Because, God, the leap of logic of, yes, if I don't save in a timeline where I didn't become superhero, these many people would be alive. Except for all these villains and all these other shit that happened not because I was a hero, not because I was a hero, but just happened by random chance and thus threatened thousands of hundreds of lives. Those people would be alive still, I'm sure, in another timeline where I couldn't save their ass. God, and shit, and here's the thing, like, because some people might try to bring up the idea of, oh, well, like, because there's the part where the mugging happens. And, like, you know, Peter just turns around and walks away. And some people in the comments, or some people will probably try to defend, like, well, he doesn't have superpowers. You know, that's the smart thing to do, stuff like that. That is the smart thing to do. Heroes are not smart. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I do not mean that in a bad way. Heroes are not smart. For example, Captain America, the first Avenger, where he picks up fights on some dudes way bigger, gets knocked down, he'll stand back up to fight. There's a grenade on the ground. Smart thing to do is move away from the grenade because, you know, it keeps you alive. The heroic thing to do, which is also the stupid thing to do, is jump on the grenade because that'll get you killed. That is the difference between a hero and someone who is smart. Because that's the thing about, again, a hero here's the difference between a hero and someone who's smart. Someone who's smart hears a gunshot, runs away from that sound. A hero will run towards that sound. That is the difference between the two. And yes, smart means you're probably a freaking coward. This Spider-Man is Peter Parker in that is a freaking coward. And yes, he does eventually run into this burning building and save a baby. Yes, he does do that without his powers and all that stuff. That is true. But if he was Spider-Man at that time and got his shit together and was able to help and was a Spider-Man, he could have gotten the baby and the person on the third floor who burned to death. That death is on Peter. I do not care what anyone says. That death is on Peter. He could have saved their ass. But God, that annoyed the hell out of me. Again, that was, and mind you, this was annoyed the hell out of me when I was in the 4th grade. You could put the stupidest shit in front of my face and I would be perfectly fine with it. But I saw that and I'm like, no, that's stupid. By that point I would have said, man, that's, I don't know. What did I say instead of stupid back then? Just dumb. That's really dumb. But yeah, God, like that was something I'm just like, okay, whatever. But yeah, that annoyed the hell out of me. Spider-Man 3, and again, also Peter kind of just rounded the circle like, I shouldn't tell MJ I love her. I was at the end of Spider-Man 1 going, tell her you dumbass, not tell her that you're Spider-Man, tell her that you love her. Hell, if you think like, yeah, you know, we want to be together, tell her you're Spider-Man. Because, yeah, it would make things a lot easier. And, like, I doubt MJ, even if you did break up, would break your secret. Hell, it's proven. So, yeah, I'm just like, whatever. I'm like, dude, you're stupid. Mind you, in No Way Home, like, Tom Holland does like, oh, you know, I'm not going to tell my friends stuff like that. That is right after a shit ton of things just happened. And, yeah, I don't know. That one I thought was way better done than this one. Than this idea. It was like, oh, no, I have to be... And everyone's like, oh, you're so mysterious. Also, again, no web shooters makes them feel way stupider because they're like, oh, yeah, you're smart, Peter Parker. You get really good grades, stuff like that. And that's kind of really it. Like, sometimes he gives a little bit of mumbo jumbo, but that's about it. I don't know. Web shooters, at least for me, give more like, okay, yeah, he is smart. And then, like, some other stuff. Well, anyways. Spider-Man 3, I love that way more. It's happier. It starts off way happier. It kind of shows Peter, like, you know, being a little cocky, which then it's like, okay, you know, he needs to get knocked down a little bit. It has him being happy with Mary Jane, with also Mary Jane just ruined that one dude's life. So, also, I was all in J.J. Jones at Jameson's side. Don't open the caviar. Like, why waste that money? But yeah, it starts on a happier note. And then, you know, it slowly gets brought down. And, like, you know, but even then, it still kind of keeps going. It's no longer the whole nice guy. Oh, I'm the nice guy. It's no longer that. And I'm perfectly fine with that. And I like that. Also, another thing. Because one big argument against Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man, they said, oh, he's too handsome. Are you saying Tobey Maguire isn't handsome? Like, I just want to ask that question. But beside that point, not handsome. I see why you're confused. But yeah, so I was like, okay. I'm like, all right, whatever. But yeah, so that was one thing that I was just like, I was like, all right, whatever. Handsome. But yeah, that was one thing I was like, all right, whatever. But yeah, like this one, it starts off happy, stuff like that. The villains, even though they are like, there's a lot of them. I think they're done. I think they're used well. Like honestly, like the whole Eddie Brock subplot leading up to it, like it shows like he's a cracked version of Peter, basically, which I kind of like. Gwen Stacy, kind of underused, but yeah, whatever. It was really underused, but whatever. Like she's supposed to be like the analog for Eddie of like Mary Jane, but like Eddie is pretty much if Peter was more of a slum bag. Stuff like that. And I kind of like that. He's a cracked mirror version of Peter, which eventually is what Venom is. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's cool. He's a cracked version of Spider-Man. Like, all right, cool. The Sandman, I loved his story, the tragedy of him and stuff like that. The new Goblin thing, it's been set up since the first movie, and it finally gets payoff in this one. My only issue with it is that, like, the suit for him, it's, like, very, it's very, like, prototypey, or, like, what would actually be, like, the thing. So I was like, I was with it for that. I feel like if he would have looked more like the Hobgoblin, it would have been more better than him just trying to be like, oh yeah, I'm the cool surfer goblin kind of guy. Bruce Campbell in all these movies, but I never noticed until later, and I never knew who Bruce Campbell was until like way later. He's awesome. I think and I'll say this right now, Spider-Man 3 has the most laughs out of all three Raimi films. I think Spider-Man 3 is the best Raimi film. Again, the villains are badass. They all are set up very well, and they all have a really good payoff towards the end. I'll say the Venom suit looks pretty cool towards the end, even though it's the kind of the Raimi suit, but like it has like the bigger spider. Which looking at it, I'm like, why didn't Peter have that? Why didn't Peter have the large spider on chest? And also, why keep the webbing gray? Make it white when he's that. Like, come on, people. I'm like looking at the Venom symbol on his chest. I'm like, that looks kind of cool. Mind you, it's not as badass as Tom Hardy's Venom, but it does look kind of cool. I'm like, yeah, you know what? I honestly don't hate this Venom. But yeah, the comedy's on point on this one. This one had me really laughing throughout a lot of bits. Intentionally laughing too, not me yelling at the screen like, Peter, you're a dumbass. But yeah, like I don't know. It was really so J.K. Simmons with the webs in Spider-Man 2 was really funny. I watched the 2.1 version, but yeah, it was good. It was honestly really fun. These movies were really fun. The third movie is the best one, and I think it's really good. I think that is the best Raimi film out of all three, which is funny because everyone... What, handsome? What? Come here. Come here. Come here. But yeah, I think the Raimi film out of all of them is the best one. The third one. The third Raimi film. Because the villains honestly, all of them have build up from the previous, or not. Also, in the first movie, I think they brought J. Jonah brought up Eddie Brock, but then apparently he's just a new hire in Spider-Man 3. I think that's just a continuity error, but the setup for the characters is good. Peter being cocky, stuff like that, and then like the whole subplot with MJ and shit. I'm like, okay, whatever. I legitimately was laughing a lot, and I'm pretty sure it is intentional to laugh when Peter's like Dark Peter and he's dancing down the street and shit like that. I was laughing that whole bit when he like first wears the suit, goes walking through the alleyway, looks in the mirror, sees himself, and just goes, "I need to cover my eye to look emo." I guess. I'm like, all right, Peter, calm your shit. But the movie was fun. The movie all these movies are good. The other movies are okay. The weakest is Spider-Man 2. That is the weakest movie, at least for me. Maybe everyone else will like it. And mind you, that's not saying anything against like the characters. Doc Ock is cool and all that stuff. But even then, like, I don't know, his motivation is very just, yes, the inhibitor chip messed up. I'm now insane. I must complete my work. Which also, one thing I do like, because if you look through all of these, they're kind of building the Iron Man suit. Like, the first one, like, Quest, whatever, which is the competition with Oscorp, is creating an exosuit, battle suit for the military that kind of flies and everything, shoots stuff. I'm like, okay, look. And then the second one, you have Doc Ock creating the renewable energy source with reactivity and all this shit, and it's pretty much the arc reactor. It's pretty much the arc reactor, which is cool because in No Way Home they pretty much say that. And then in this one, I'd say probably with the Goblin suit, with like the technology of like the glider and all this stuff like miniaturized and more advanced kind of thing. I think it's kind of more similar to that, I'd say. But yeah, like it's It was cool. Like, I rewatching these are really good. Again, I was like, okay, let me see if it's good. Again, Spider-Man 2, it has some really good scenes in it. It is the weakest out of all of them, though. That is the weakest film out of all of the Raimi films. Because, again, Doc Ock, unless I'm missing something, and these tentacles give him super regenerative healing as well as greater durability, the first punch from Spider-Man should have knocked him out. And mind you, I'm assuming that this is because, Peter wants to knock him out and not kill him. If Peter wanted to kill him, full-on punch, dead. But yeah, like the films were good. Like, I'm not like, I wanted to rewatch them again because people was like, oh, the Tobey Maguire was a true best. Also, I'm going to say this right now because I brought this up in No Way Home review. Like Peter, that Peter, the Raimi Peter, coming in and going, I sensed that your Peter needed my help. I'm that annoyed because, why did you make him sound all mystical and shit? And it annoys me even more because, this Raimi Peter's a dumbass. He's really a dumbass. Holy shit. He is, oh my God, is he dumb. And mind you, if you like this Peter, that's fine. If he's your favorite Peter, that's fine. It's just for me, even though I grew up with these, I'm not saying even why you like it is because of nostalgia, but I'm saying, at least for me, I don't have nostalgia goggles for this. And looking at this Peter, I'm like, you're an idiot in many ways. But yeah, these films are great. These films are still good. I highly recommend the third one after obviously watching everything else because the build up for Harry going as becoming the new Goblin. But all these others, I highly recommend it. I highly recommend these movies. They are fun. I'm gonna watch the Andrew Garfield ones next, and then I'll make a review of that. And then I'll watch the two new Spider-Man ones, and then the third one I probably have to go see in theaters again. But these movies are fun. These movies are good. I'm just really surprised that Spider-Man 2 is the movie that they say, oh yeah, that's the best Spider-Man movie. Because, again, me watching, I'm just I don't understand why. This has the biggest plot hole in it of the bad guy can easily be taken down. Oh yeah, he has metal claws. And I get, okay, yeah, he has metal claws that can keep you at bay and shit like that. Cool. But, as soon as Spider-Man got up close in, I'm just yeah, no, this movie should be done. But yeah, so this was still good. I hope we do see more of the Green. I hope we see the MCU version of the Green Goblin. He gets his own version than that universe. I do not agree with the filmmaker saying we couldn't make a better Green Goblin or Doc Ock. One, you made a better Green Goblin in No Way Home. You did. Yeah, it's a continuation of the old Goblin, but this one I feel is way better. And understood, I guess, the character more, I guess. Doc Ock in this was pretty good too, but again, soon, and I'd say this Doc Ock probably was way better than the one in the films, again, continuation. This one, I think, kept Peter way more at bay, and if I remember correctly, doesn't get knocked out by Peter. He keeps him at a distance, uses the claws to keep him at bay and knock him out, stuff like that, which is smart, because, again, he's just a regular human being. As soon as he gets one punch from Spider-Man, he should be done, unless we're trying to say that Spider-Man's strength is nothing. Which I don't think that's what we're trying to say, because he's done some incredible strength shit. So, yeah, I don't know. So much in the comments below. Thanks for watching. For videos I've done, links are on Facebook and Instagram videos. Happy 2022. Check out these things. Actually, wait, hold on a minute. Okay, hopefully I got them up on screen right now. Yeah, Radiant Black and Sideways. Not only are these two new badass superheroes, which also, again, go check out Sideways shit because I want more comic books of him. But also Radiant Black, also go check that out. Really damn good comic as well, at least so far. I'm in volume 1 of it, and volume 2 comes out in March, and I'm not, whatever. Beside the point, go check them out, because even then, they're referencing the symbiote Spider-Man puts on the symbiote for the first time, which I love Venom, so hell yeah. So, yeah. Also, go check out Owl Wolf Town Twitter. Again, link below.